Well, John Kasich has been saying, was telling me again this past weekend, that the problem isn't so much Donald Trump inciting crowds as much as providing the environment that does. Listen to this. What did you think of what happened last night?
Well, I didn't see it until I got back to my hotel room. And, you know, frankly, Donald has created a very toxic environment, and it's really dividing people.
Well, Trent Duffy is the Kasich National Communications Advisor. And Trent, I always think that maybe you guys, or a lot of critics, are giving Donald Trump a bad name on this. He gets tens of thousands who go to his events. Surely just a fraction of those, given the numbers, will act up and rant and rave. And we've already gotten indications these are coordinated attacks in many situations. So can it all be pegged to Donald Trump?
No, it certainly can't. The people responsible for the protests at these events and the disruption are the protesters themselves. Donald Trump and his supporters have a right to go to rallies and to hear their candidate. But when they do turn ugly as they have, and as the rhetoric gets amped up as it has, it is creating what the Governor Kasich called a toxic environment that is not going to be good for uniting the party come November. This is interesting because, of course, last week we heard Donald Trump talk about how he's shifting to becoming a uniter, and then we have this kind of divisive and really, frankly, ugly scene on Friday. And we're not going to referee who's mostly responsible, but at some point the candidate needs to step up and talk about what they're for. And that's why John Kasich is rising in national polls. The poll out last week shows him coming up fast on Donald Trump. We're going to win Ohio tomorrow. We're up 6 points in 2 polls, and we're looking good. Mitt Romney's campaigning with Governor Kasich today. So
do you think that helps?
Good.
I mean, in that
Yes.
state, whatever you think of Mitt Romney, he's seen as such an establishment guy, has it out for Donald Trump, so it might be divisive in the eyes of many. He's got the support right now of former Speaker John Boehner, and I'm wondering if that's the kind of support you need or want even at this stage in a campaign. Now, I know there are some polls that show, you know, your candidate leading. Others show that it's a virtual tie. But do you think this sort of stuff, these sort of endorsements, in a weird way, hurt him?
No, I think all endorsements help John Kasich because that's the part of the campaign where we are, Neil. We're starting to bring the party together. And John Kasich is the one that people are looking to as the one that can actually do that versus Ted Cruz or Donald Trump, who are divisive figures and are not going to unite the country and unite the party. So absolutely, we welcome endorsements from Mitt Romney, although that wasn't an endorsement. He's just campaigning with him. But we had Senator Rubio saying that people should vote for John Kasich in Ohio. And we're going to see more and more people coming to John Kasich.
Yeah, that was a little weird. It was almost like a concerted effort on the part of anyone but Trump to sort of stay alive and viable, to sort of slow Trump's momentum. That was the idea, right?
Well, look, this isn't so much about stopping Trump as it's starting a new renewal of the American economy, of leadership in Washington, and John Kasich is best positioned to do that. You look at the Wall Street Journal editorial today that talks about John Kasich's path forward, and it's very realistic. We're going to win tomorrow in Ohio, and then we're going to be in Pennsylvania, which is John Kasich's home state.
The main thing says, I don't know why people exclude anyone at this stage of the game. Having said that, real quickly, with Chris Christie sitting next to Donald Trump again, do you think he's angling for the VP slot?
Well, we don't know what he's angling for. John Kasich is focused on his campaign and winning, but he's going to go on to Pennsylvania and then on to Utah. So having Mr. Romney with him today, I think, helps him in Utah.
What do you think, what do you think of Chris Christie, that he's maybe angling for something more than just Attorney General? A lot of Republicans, when they're asked, you know, I know you hope your candidate goes all the way, but he seems to be everyone's number one choice for number two. In other words, everyone's number one choice, given how important Ohio is to the party, given the fact that he leads Hillary Clinton by 20 points in Ohio, that he would be the guy to be a number two, should it come to that, not Chris Christie. What do you say?
I'm not sure if you're asking if Kasich should be the vice president or not, but Kasich's going to win the nomination.
That's what I'm asking.
No.
But if he doesn't get it, what do you think?
He's going to get it, Neil. Right. We're getting all the support we need, and we're marching forward, and things are looking very good for John Kasich's path.
All right. Thank you very much for indulging my silly political questions. Always good having you, Trent Duffy. All right. We just heard another disruptor, I guess they're called now at these Trump events, raise a few hackles. No one was shown the door or pushed out. But this is the kind of stuff that will happen at these events. It gets a lot more scrutiny than it did let's say last week at this time, given the violence that erupted. And I stress violence is probably overstating it. The volatile nature of a campaign event in Chicago that was ultimately shelved. And then you had this guy who was pulling Donald Trump's leg, literally, at an event that brought Secret Service agents surrounding him. So let's just say in that kind of environment, people are on pins and needles. We're there. More after this.